What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe, Wnba Dfs, here to bring you guys a quick slate breakdown for the two-game WNBA slate. Make this video pretty quick, short, to the point. Since it is the 4th of July, I'm pretty sure you guys should not be sitting there just watching DFS videos and things like that. But if you are, welcome. As always, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content I'm putting out over here on the channel. Drop a like on this video if this video or any of my other videos help you guys win some money. Let's go ahead, let's dig right in. Real quick recap for yesterday. If you guys watched that video yesterday, I know somebody had to make some money because we pretty much hit the nail on the head. Besides Brittany Griner actually being in and playing, even with her playing, if you focused on playing Kalia Copper, Diana Taurasi, maybe had a little bit of sprinkle of BG as well. On the flip side, you focus on getting Howard, you focus on getting Enrique, you focused on getting Sims, and you really did have a good day. Of course, unfortunately, Dallas did not get the win like I was expecting, so my lines somewhat crashed and burned, but not all the way because I did have the Dallas win. But if you stacked that side and really focus on those main two that I was saying for the captain spot for the Phoenix Mercury side, you definitely should have been able to make you some money over there. So hopefully find some gems and stuff like that that we can focus on for today. Let's go ahead. Let's get right into it. Starting out, of course, as always, with the injury report. Right now, some news just came out. Just came out. So that tells you what time I'm recording this. For the Connecticut side, that besides Jefferson being out, Ty Harris just got listed as questionable with an illness. So typically, late day additions to the injury report typically means the player will be out. If Ty Harris is out, would not be surprised if they start Burton. That is who I would imagine would slide into that starting lineup. Other than that, no news to report in that game right there. And then over on the Washington side, we got word yesterday that Dolson was feeling a little ill. But right now, RotoWire has her as very likely to play. So if she's out, I would imagine that should mean more minutes for our girl, Emily. But if Dolson's out, if Dolson's in, then that means she's just still going to fill in that bench role. They still are dealing with a ton of injuries over here for the Washington Mystics anyway, so still a good spot for us to get some pieces from because players are going to have to be on the court regardless of who's out and who's in. Then, of course, the Las Vegas Aces, no news really report for over there for them. Heading over to DraftKings, the site I play the most on the site. If you guys don't got an account, you want one, check the link down in the description below so you guys can get that deposit match bonus and join me over here on the King. Starting out on the Connecticut side, looking at this will not be the first time that they're going up against the Lynx. Of course, out of the two games, this is the lowest total because you have two of the top 5 defenses going up against each other. Right now, the Lynx are going through the gauntlet in regards to teams that they are playing. But in the first matchup that they played, it was 83-82. Very, very, very close game. The Connecticut Sun came away with that win in that game. AT had a decent game, dropping 40-plus fantasy points out there. DeWanna Bonner, she somewhat showed her shell of herself with 30-plus fantasy points. And then this was the game that Brianna Jones exploded for 30-plus fantasy points. 39 fantasy points in that game specifically. Really, it wasn't too much coming from the guards in Ty Harris or Dejanay Carrington. Hopefully that might actually be able to turn around here on today for the slate. But needless to say, we have a couple of bigs to actually pay up for on today's slate with Asia, Fee, AT. Those are going to be your main bigs that we're going to be looking at on today's slate. I do actually like AT in the spot, especially if Ty is going to be out. Then that should mean maybe a couple more assists can fly for AT's way. Definitely don't mind that at that 11K price tag. You're really just going to have to decide which of the two bigs, which of the two big name bigs are you going to want to play. Is it going to be AT? Is it going to be AT and Fee? Is it going to be AT Asia? That's really the decision that's going to have to be made on the slate. Now, if we avoid and don't want to play AT, definitely come down here and play Bree Jones at the 8,200 price tag. Again, opposing centers going up against the Alana Smith defense, they've done decent. Jonquel Jones, we just saw her pop off for 48 fantasy points. Big T popped off for 33. Jonquel again had 30 fantasy points in the Commissioner's Cup that they had played. Tina Charles was actually able to go out here and somehow scrounge her way for 29.5 fantasy points. So definitely some merit in taking Brianna Jones. Only thing you got to worry about is Alana pulling her out. You know, we do know Alana can't stretch the floor, but still 8,200, decent price tag. I actually do like it. Coming off a really good game in that last game, 18.7 rebounds, 29.25 fantasy points. I don't think that she can hurt you here in this spot. She has shown that she can actually play going up against the Lynx so far this season and in seasons past, with at least hovering right around her 20-ish fantasy points that she can go out there and get you. I don't mind it, but AT definitely will be looking there. Now, as far as value, like I said, if Ty Harris is out, or even if Ty Harris isn't out, I still like the upside for Burton. I was on Burton the slate before just because the minutes have been there. They love Burton over here on the Connecticut Sun. They love playing some Burton out there on the court. She's playing over 15 minutes in her last 3 games. The minutes have been trending. They've been there. She's playing out there in the close game. She's knocking down her shot. She's playing defense. She's playmaking, getting those assists, grounding in there for some rebounds. 4,600, where value is going to be pretty hard for us to come by on this slate. Definitely will be looking in her direction for a play on the slate as my value to be able to fit some of these other bigger names that I want to get to. Definitely will be in the player pool. Now, I could say Carrington, Ty Harris, if Ty is in, but Carrington, she's been pretty more consistent over her last several games. 4 out of the last 5 games, at least 20 plus fantasy points. Can definitely take a look there to her, especially if Ty is out. Her usage should actually go up a little bit as well. Maybe we could see some playmaking from her on the flip side. But 8K price tag, a little bit too much for me. Definitely more of a GPP option. If I even consider going that direction, I would rather definitely come down to getting Burton and just hope that she can go out there and get about 15-ish fantasy points that I know will be capable. Now, if Ty is out and Burton is slid into the starting lineup, or maybe a couple more minutes go to T. Mitch, you can definitely look there. Banham would be my sneaky dark horse for a possible GPP option, because that means that guard rotation should be split up quite a bit, and maybe we can get Banham coming here and have one of her stellar 4 for 5 from 3 type games or something like that for her. Going over to the Minnesota Lynx side, we do know that this is pretty much a revenge narrative, revenge spot for Courtney Williams. Earlier this season, playing up against them, she played 40 minutes. She played the whole game. Granted, well, not the whole game. The game did go to OT, but she played 40 minutes, had 37 fantasy points, and every game that she has played going up against the Connecticut Sun since she has left them, so all last season, 24, 28, 32, 70 fantasy points versus them. She likes to get up to play the Connecticut Sun. This was her former team that she played with for quite some time. So Courtney Williams sitting at that 7.5 price tag. I told you guys, there's certain matchups that I will go to Courtney Williams that I will take. This will be one of them that I would actually go to. I understand that the guard position over here on the Connecticut Sun, they are pretty good at defending opposing guards, but Sewell, it's something about people whenever they go up against their former teams, they like to be petty. They like to go out there, ball out, show out, and just have a stellar and a baller game. Now, I'm not going to focus too heavy on trying to get a bunch of pieces from this game specifically, just because this is the lower total of the 2 games. We have a shorthanded Washington team. Granted, both these teams kind of run the tightest rotation. Definitely Fee in play, 11.5. She popped in that first game, 62 fantasy points. Again, went to OT. Kayla McBride as well inside of that first game was a little lackluster, 27 fantasy points, but definitely someone that you can consider and in play. I kind of really don't like Alana Smith here. If you land on her, definitely can take her. This is going to be a much slower pace of a game. She does thrive in more of those fast-paced type games that we've seen her be able to go out here and have those big games. 8,100 leaves a little bit of room to be desired. Definitely could go and look more towards the Dolson, if Dolson is actually in or something like that in the positioning spot. But over here, would be remiss if we don't go ahead and talk about Carlton, who's going out here and she's been balling out over her last several games. Definitely came back down to earth that last game going up against New York. Definitely a bounce back spot for her if she can go out here and knock down her shots. And then last but not least, Zen Lassini off the bench will have to have some consideration. She is seeing pretty consistent minutes over her last 4 games, at least 12 minutes over in 4 out of those 5 games. 18 fantasy points, 15, 12, 22. The production is there, even with the short minutes. 9 minutes against Dallas, but 12.5 fantasy points. Definitely there. We know that they do rely on her shooting whenever she comes in. That is typically what she comes out there to do. Rebound, play some defense. Don't mind looking at her as another value play if you don't want to go play Burton as well. Diamond Miller, I know she is back, but I really have not seen any minutes truly for Diamond. She played 1 minute in that last game going up against New York, 9 minutes in that game going up against Chicago, 3 minutes in that game versus Dallas. Not really too much going on for Diamond, which really kind of sucks being such a high draft pick last season. So hopefully she can definitely turn it around in some of these games. Going over to Washington over here for them, again, they are dealing with a ton of injuries, and if Dolson is going to be out, that's just going to shorten the rotation for them again. Now, if Dolson is in, this is kind of a system play that we typically like to go to, and she popped in that game earlier, back in June 29th, going up against the Aces. She was knocking down a ton of threes. She knocked down 5 threes in that game. 7 rebounds, 23 points, went out there, dropped 41 fantasy points going up against them. If Dolson is in, definitely 8,700, I would go ahead and just play that. That'll be my mid-tier option I would go to at the 4 position. If Dolson is out, that does give a boost too. Of course, like I said, Emily, 5,800, I would be surprised if she doesn't start. I really would be surprised if she does not start at all. But minutes, we already know whenever she has gotten big playing time, like when she played going up against Dallas, she went out there, she dropped 43.75 fantasy points, and then going up against Dallas again, that second game, 26.5 fantasy points. So it is definitely in her bag for her to go out here and have a decent game. Don't mind the upside is definitely there. She only played 10 minutes in that first game going up against the Aces earlier. this season for fantasy points. But minutes equal production, production equals fantasy points. That's what we always go with. Other than that, Leah Edwards back in the starting lineup. Don't mind going to her. 7,200, another option right there, especially if Dolson's out. Maybe Edwards can get back to the rebounding ways like what we saw earlier this season. In 20 minutes, she dropped 23 fantasy points going up against the Aces. And she's one of those young players I would imagine that she should be out there to play minutes regardless of what the score is in this game. Don't get it wrong. We got the Aces winning this all the way. There's no reason why the Aces should not win this game whatsoever. But we have seen that Washington, they can come out. They can make it a game. They will make it a competition. Outside of that, unfortunately, I cannot believe I have to say this, but SWK is in consideration. She's been playing good. Been playing pretty well. They like going to her. She plays some of the most minutes off the bench. The playmaking, she's stuffing the stat sheet in all categories. Like, just look at the game log. She is actually stuffing the stat sheets. I would be shocked if she comes out here and shoots lights out again, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 10 from the field. But I have to have her in the player pool, have to consider her at that 6,900 price tag. Ariel Atkins, we already know she's going to be out there, play a ton of minutes. Really kind of not too fond of too many of the guards over here. Van Loo, she does pique my interest just because the playmaking duties, she's taking a ton of shots, actually playing pretty decent from 3. I watched that last game going up against the Sparks. Really would have loved that last assist. That would have been a banger of a night. But all in all, don't mind looking at Van Loo if we're looking at the guard position. But I really think I'd rather focus more on the forwards over here for Washington, because that's actually what the Aces can give up fantasy point scores to. Just look at Nalissa Smith, Aaliyah Boston in the last game that we just watched. They pretty much had the clamps down on Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark out there, besides just the playmaking duties that Clark was actually able to go out there and get. Over here on the Las Vegas Aces side, there's nothing really needs to be said. Asia, Plum, Young, all of them are in play. I will say Plum went off and had a great game last game. 10-2. She's 10-2. I'm not paying that for Plum when I can go down here to Jackie Young, who typically we will see. They'll trade off big games. Jackie, she's been pretty steady, 30, 36, 37. This could be one of those stellar, good old-fashioned Jackie goes out here and she's knocking it down from 3, getting a couple of steals, playmaking. I'm not going to go out there and hope for 10 assists because freaking Gray only played 20 minutes. But the upside is definitely there for Jackie Young to explode. While everyone maybe looks towards Plum, I definitely don't mind coming out here to Young. If you're thinking that Young is going to be more owned just because she is cheaper, then go ahead and play the Plum as your GPP option right there. Outside of that, Chelsea Gray, it's just the minutes. The minutes really not being there is the only thing that worries me. She did 26 minutes, dropped 34 fantasy points going up against Washington 2 games ago. We can go right back there. Other than that, Stokes, you can mess with that. Nothing really just pops. If Hayes is out, then of course we can look to Martin again. But if not, just focus on Clark. Other than that, like I said, pretty straightforward slate. Hopefully you guys do cash out. Enjoy your 4th of July. Do not set anything on fire. Be safe out there with the fireworks. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully someone takes down this 10K. Would be a really nice thing to go ahead and get on today. Peace.